what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. So I get a ton of questions of how do you jack up the STI? Because a lot of people have seen the way that I do it and I always get questions about it. So I figured I would make a dedicated video just to show you how I do it. Keep in mind, this is not the 100% correct way to do it. I know a lot of people are going to say you shouldn't do it that way. Do it this way. I can do it that way. But listen, I've been doing it for years this way. I've had zero issues, no problems. So I just kind of wanted to show you exactly what I do since I got a lot of questions on it. Now, if I'm just doing work on one of the corners, say if I'm going to work on the passenger front here, I'll just jack it up by the normal jack point under here on the pinch weld. I'll show you in a second exactly where that is. But if I need to do work and I'm putting it on jack stands, I'll show you exactly where I put it. It's a little bit different. It's not on the jack point right here. So let's go ahead, let's take the cover off so you guys can see the car. And not that you guys don't know what it looks like, but it's much better to look at than it under the cover. So let me pop this off and get the jack and then we'll get started. All right, so we got the cover half off, only because I'm gonna put the cover back on. I don't feel like taking it completely off, but you get the idea. Here's the car, and this is the jack that I use. This jack is from Harbor Freight. You actually may have seen the video when I picked this up, which is, I believe, when I was test fitting the weds on the car for the first time. I went to Harbor Freight and picked that up. This is probably one of the best purchases I've made for my garage and car in a long time. I think I only paid about 150, 160 bucks. While it may seem a little expensive to some of you, it's actually very reasonable for what you get. It's low profile. I am very, very low, and this slides right underneath the side skirts on any part of the car. So I have no issues. I don't have to drive up in the ramps or anything like that, which was my biggest pet peeve on my old jack. It was a little too high, so I would have to drive the car up onto ramps first and then put the jack on. I ended up just not doing the work for a while. I was putting it off because I just hated doing it. But now that I got this jack, it is so much easier. I literally could just put it right under and jack the car up. For this example, I'm gonna show you where I jack it up. If I was going to put jack stands on the front and rear, what I do is actually jack it up in the center. So if you look at the center of the car where the B-pillar is, it's kind of a little bit towards the back. What I do is I go right under the passenger or driver's side door handle, because that's kind of the center of the side skirt. But you want to make sure you're not jacking it up by the side skirt. If you do that, it's going to come crashing down. You're going to have a really bad day. You want to make sure that the pad of the jack is actually on the frame rail. And once it's on there, it's totally fine. I've left it up there. I've had no issues. There's no cracking. There's no noises or anything like that. Again, a lot of people are going to say do it on the pinch welds on here on either side, which I'll try to show you, I do it all the time. Again, if I'm working on one corner of the car, I'll just do that. But if I'm putting it on jack stands, it's a pain in the butt to be able to go around the car and do it all different points. So I found this to be the easiest. Now, I am on coilovers, so if you're on stock suspension, it's going to be a little bit harder. And the reason for that is because coilover is much more firm, so it's actually going to hold the wheel where it is. It's not going to droop. On stock suspension, when you raise the car or you jack it up, the suspension will actually sag and the actual wheel will be a little bit lower. So it's a little bit easier to do this when you're on coilovers or an aftermarket suspension setup. Now, some people also jack the car up by the center in the front. Being that I have a lip on and now also a splitter, my jack is not long enough to reach underneath. Some people say jack it up by the front and rear diff. I'm not a big fan of that, so I never do that. But that is also another way to do it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you exactly how I jack it up if I was going to put it on jack stands. Okay, so here we go. I jacked the car right up in the middle. As you can see, the wheels aren't sagging a bunch, so it leaves a lot of space underneath. Again, if you are on stock suspension, they're gonna droop way lower. So you're gonna have to raise the car way higher to get underneath and get the tires off the ground. But for me, it might be a little hard to see. I might have to get a light for you guys. It seems to be okay. But as you can see, it's actually on the frame rail. So it's on the back of the side skirt. And you know, I've had no issues. I've jacked it up here a million times and absolutely no issues at all. So you can say what you want. You can say that it's not the right way, but hey, I've jacked this up right there 1,000 times. I've had no issues. You can go as high as you want, throw jack stands underneath. It's much easier to do that because you can just put a jack in the front and jack in the rear instead of going all around and doing each corner. And I just found it to be the easiest way. Now, since the car is up, I'm gonna show underneath here. Now, as you can see, this is actually the front of the passenger. You can see the pinch weld right here. This is where you're actually gonna put the jack stand. This is also the place where a lot of people say to jack it up, which I do, and I have done 1,000 times as well. You know, if I'm trying to get jack stands on all four corners, this is just the easiest way that I found. It works really well. As again, there's no issues. I've even looked underneath to make sure there was no cracking and no dents or anything like that, and there was zero. It's kind of hard to show. But yeah, this is something that a lot of people ask me questions of, so I figured to make a dedicated video on, because they see a lot of videos of me jacking it up there, you know, doing wheels or whatever. And they always have questions as, you know, where are you jacking it up? Why are you jacking up in the middle? Why don't you do in the front or the pinch welds? So I figured I would show it there. Now again, stock suspension is gonna be a little bit harder just because it's gonna droop more, and you have to jack the car up higher to get the wheels off the ground. And then all I would do is put the jack stands in the corners, lower it down, and the car is back on the ground. So super, super simple. This jack is awesome, absolutely love it. Fits underneath. I'm super low to the ground, as you guys know. You know, obviously the car is sitting a little bit higher since it's not settled, but you get the idea. So if anybody has any questions at all about how I jack it up, if you guys are unclear, you need a little bit more visualization, please let me know. But again, just follow right where the door handle is on the front and go right underneath. Make sure you go a little bit behind the back of the side skirt and you will have no problems. Obviously, I've done this, like I said, I've done this a lot, so I know exactly where to go. But if it's your first time, jack it up slowly. Make sure it's on there very, very well. Make sure you don't hear any noises or popping or anything like that. Obviously, if you're working under the car, you're gonna wanna put jack stands on. You're not gonna wanna leave just the jack there. Just for a quick job or something like that you don't need to get under the car, say if you're doing the side skirt, you know, extension right here, or you're working on a corner or something like that, it's fine just to use the jack. You know, you can do it on either corner or in the center like I just did. So if anybody has any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you in the next one.